The first adventurers and traders to land on the shores of Kutch may well have landed here at the edge of the Arabian Sea. To the west are the legendary ports of history, Karachi, Basra, Muscat, Oman, and across East Africa, Mombasa. To the south are Surat, Mumbai, and Colombo. Kutch has always been at the crossroads of these legendary trade routes of the Arabian Sea. In legend, Sinbad the sailor, the adventurer from Basra, spoke of fantastic lands whose soils were paved with diamonds. He spoke of giant birds and exotic places. Well, he may well have come to Kutch and he would have seen some amazing sights. He would have seen the thousands and thousands of cranes which visit the Charidhan wetland in winter. He would have seen the enormous salt plains of the Rann of Kutch. He would have seen an incredible variety of colorful ethnic races with their own cultures, music, paintings, embroidery. He would have seen a vibrant land and the most amazing wildlife as well. It is through the birds and the people that the story of Kutch is most appropriately told. It is a story of changes, of long distances, vast plains and big skies, of a land at the edge of a continent tumbled inside out by tectonic activity down the ages, the topsoil littered with the frozen, stranded remnants of ancient seabeds, yet prowled today by the hyena, the fox and the antelope. It is the month of April and an Indian fox has littered. The pups are almost a month old and cautiously exploring the world outside their den. In summer, it can get up to 45 degrees Celsius in the shade. Water is precious and birds like the red wattled lapwing and glossy ibis congregate at the smallest patch in this ecosystem of desert, salt pans and scrub. They share the water with a soft-shelled turtle and orange dragonflies, while in the scrub nearby, a male Indian bustard hawks for insects. For now, our fox and her puppies are safe, though they also share their habitat with hundreds of cattle. The pups spend the hottest part of the day in the safety of the den. Playtime is strictly confined to the morning and evening, and when one of the parents is around. The mother keeps watch from a distance as the pups jostle and play with each other. The pups are almost weaned, and the adults have to spend more and more time hunting. Their diet includes rodents, reptiles, and the occasional bird. With 3 hungry mouths to feed, the adults have their work cut out. This grassland is important for livestock herders too. It is their grazing land for cows, buffaloes, camels, and sheep. The Maldharis are nomadic cattle herders. Their cattle are the local kankrej with very distinctive horns. Every cow has a name and when her name is called, her calf responds as well. The men do the milking and they start young. The Maldari women do the cooking, stirring the milk constantly until it becomes koa. Koa is solid but moist, with a long shelf life. It is a key ingredient in making Indian sweets. The Maldharis sell their koa in nearby villages and towns, where they buy their supplies for camp. But increasing human activity has an impact. The foxes share their habitat not only with people, but with the sanda or spiny-tailed lizard. The main threat to the sanda is loss of habitat as more and more grassland comes under cultivation. Besides the destruction of its habitat, the sanda is killed for its tail. The tail is thick and spiny and stores fat. Unfortunately, this fat is what the lizard is hunted for, under the mistaken notion that it is an aphrodisiac. About 30 kilometers from where the foxes are denning is the Bunny, a vast 2,900 square kilometer expanse, which at first glance seems inhospitable and devoid of any kind of life. But it is home to a surprising number of creatures, including the Indian fox, desert fox, and the shy desert cat. In the low shrubbery, 2 desert cat kittens play on a misty morning. As the sun comes up and they tire of playing, they wait anxiously for their mother to return. The adult is far more cautious and approaches her den warily. The Bunny is also dotted with rock formations, which are home to jungle cats, eagle owls, and other creatures. Besides these rocky outcrops, the land is interspersed with prosopis and the pilu, which attract birds. The fruit of the pilu, Salvadora persica, is much in demand by grey hypocolis and rosy starlings. The grey hypocolis is a winter migrant, spending up to 6 months here and attracting bird watchers from across the world. Desert jerds, with the distinctive tuft on the tail, are not at all shy. But not all is well. This is the notorious Ganda bubble tree, or literally the mad bubble tree, the prosopis tree, which is originally from Africa and was introduced into this area sometime in the 1930s to control the spread of the run of Kutch. But unfortunately, it proliferated and has invaded the entire bunny and has become a nuisance. In recent years, they've tried to control this by turning it into furniture, cutting it down and burning it and making it into charcoal, which of course has unwanted side effects like smoke and carbon emissions. One of the most unique ecological features of Kutch is the run. There are 2. The Great Run and Little Run. Together, they cover 19,300 square kilometers. The word run is derived from a Sanskrit word meaning wasteland. But in this wasteland, there is life for the Asiatic wild ass, endemic to the Little Run. Though locally abundant, the Asiatic wild ass is still endangered across its range. While a few young foals may be taken occasionally by wolves, their lives are largely secure from predators. The main threat to them is disease. In the 1960s, an outbreak of a disease called surra, caused by Trypanosoma evansi and transmitted by flies, crashed their numbers to an all-time low of just 360. Since then, though, they have struggled back to around 4,000.
Just outside this protected area are the salt flats. Making salt is a tedious job under extremely harsh conditions, and the laborers are not even given adequate protective clothing and footwear. This is one of the poorest communities in India, earning barely enough to scrape by and suffering severe health problems, especially in the feet and legs. The greater flamingo breeds in the greater run of Kutch. Flamingo City, or Andabet as it is locally called, is the name given to the breeding colony where the birds gather in tens of thousands. The colony is in a restricted border area at the westernmost tip of India, a vast frontier plain of salt and mud that dries up in summer and is semi-flooded in the monsoon. There have been suggestions of an international peace park here, straddling areas claimed by both India and Pakistan. The idea was once approved by the IUCN, but historic rivalry has stalled any progress. Yet, with over 150,000 greater flamingo nesting in the area, surely it is a spot which needs to be well protected. The Little Run is also the breeding ground of the lesser flamingo, which congregate here in their thousands at the height of the monsoon. They primarily eat algae like spirulina that grow in alkaline water bodies unsuitable for irrigation. Just before the monsoon, the lesser flamingo gather in large numbers in various parts of Gujarat in spectacular courtship rituals. Their synchronous walking can continue for hours on end when they are not feeding. The monsoon usually arrives in Kutch in mid-June. Overnight, the desert is transformed. The Rabari tribe is on the move. Dry riverbeds come to life, and the apparently barren landscape becomes a sea of grasses. Rainfall in Kutch is concentrated in the monsoon months. For this desert landscape, the annual monsoon is critical, not just for farmers and graziers, but for many of these birds, which will breed only in good rainfall years. A male black francolin tries to court a female, but she doesn't seem unduly impressed. Its more widespread cousin, the grey francolin, still has last year's chicks with it. For now, they move as a family unit, but soon they will all disperse and go separate ways. By a pool of water, there is frantic activity. The Baya weaver has started nesting. The males in the colony are in a building frenzy to make the best nest as fast as possible and to win the approval of a mate. Kutch is also home to the Great Indian Bustard, a critically endangered bird numbering just 300 or so. The Great Indian Bustard is the largest of the bustard family. Standing tall at 122 centimeters, it feeds on grass seeds, insects, lizards and rodents, and agricultural crops. It has disappeared from 90% of its range and is confined to fragmented pockets in just 6 states. A tenth of this population is found in Kutch. Much of its habitat is agricultural land, making protection of the bird a major challenge. Sensitizing local communities and enlisting their help in protection is crucial. In Kutch, males start to display soon after the onset of the monsoon, inflating their throat pouches and emitting resonant booming calls. Competing males engage in ritualized territorial displays, with the intruder being unceremoniously walked off. The female lays a single egg in a scrape on the ground, making it vulnerable in mixed-use areas. The primary threat to the Great Indian Bustard is loss of habitat from agricultural expansion, the spread of industry, and even high-tension wires. Seemingly eco-friendly wind turbines may also be a threat to these big birds. That the female lays only a single egg is also a critical factor when numbers are so low. Even unethical photographers can do a lot of harm. Recently, the Forest Department has been closing the Nalia grasslands during the breeding season. Another bird of the same family here is the Lesser Florican. Small and nondescript and impossible to see except during the breeding season. At this time, the male bird exchanges his normally drab plumage for smart black and white, jumping into the air in a unique display, sometimes hundreds of times a day, to attract the attention of nearby females.
Kutch is an otherworldly place. Take for example this dry riverbed with these huge rocks scattered all over the place. These rocks and this riverbed are encrusted with marine fossils. It is a highly seismic zone, and at least 3 times through the ages it has been subjected to events so enormous in magnitude that they have turned the earth inside out. These fossils date back anything from 2 million to over 150 million years ago. And yet some of them look as fresh and as alive as if they were alive yesterday.
It is now winter, and the monsoon is a distant memory. The landscape is slowly changing back to yellow and brown. Only the precipice provides green relief, with its seed pods cherished by nilgai antelope, who aid in the dispersal and proliferation of the plant. And amid the rocky outcrops and dry stream beds prowls a wary creature rarely seen during the day, the hyena. The hyena is primarily a scavenger, but also a predator. Its powerful jaws crack big bones. During the day, they lie low in dens, but in the evenings they emerge to roam through the night singly or in pairs. Occasionally, they visit the outskirts of towns and villages, looking for carcasses. The extensive grasslands and saline plains of Kutch have traditionally been shared by people and wildlife. They are essential to the pastoral communities. Here is a situation where the interests of the people coincide with the interests of critically endangered species, like the Great Indian Bustard and the desert cat. It is essential that this unique character is recognized and, as far as possible, maintained unchanged, a land where wildlife and people coexist. It is an extraordinary frontier land, but perhaps the most atmospheric spectacle of Kutch in winter is the annual migration of thousands and thousands of common cranes and demoiselle cranes from the frozen taiga marshes of Eastern Europe and Russia.
The cranes come here to eat a species, the tuber of a species of sedge, locally called damor. And a group of cranes has been here. As you can see, they've dug up patches of this hard earth. It's amazing how hard the earth is, and yet they are able to do this, to dig it up. And Muhammad has been watching the cranes all his life and is able to dig out and show us exactly what they eat. These are the tubers of the sedge. The grasses will come up in the monsoon. Very, very nutritious. Very tasty.
Yeah.
Incredibly tasty. Amazing. These cranes definitely know what they're doing.
After working hard all day for the seeds, the cranes take wing in thousands to spend the night in the Charidhand wetland, a vast 230 square kilometer protected area. Over 280 species of birds have been recorded here. This evening, pintails, mallard, teals, shovelers, avocets and godwits are all out in numbers. So are the great white pelicans. But the main event has yet to begin.
I'm sitting here very quietly and patiently in the reeds to wait for the evening flight of the cranes, one of the great spectacles of Kutch, which people come from all over the world to see.
हसिलियों गड़ाए रे तबाई के मामा मिलाए रे हसिलियों गड़ाए रे तबाई के मामा मिलाए रे लमी पूजा वाला दूरती वने देशती वने लमी जवाला दूरती वने દાંદડિયું ગળાય રે તબાઈ કે કાકા મલાય રે દાંદડિયું ગળાય રે તબાઈ કે